Alright, continuing on with part 4, continuing the problem solving section. We're going to go ahead, drag the principal over, and that's just a formula in here to show you. It's the payment plus the interest, because the interest is negative, that gives you the principal amount. Your balance on the loan is going to equal the loan amount minus the principal. Excellent. Then you go ahead, do equals balance minus principal. And you can drag that from the number 2 to the number 5. Beautiful. Auto fit those so that they fit in there wonderfully. And move this over a little more so I can see what it is I'm looking at. Alright, property value. Next step, pretty easy. Your property value in year 0 equals the purchase price. It's what you paid for it. Assuming you paid the right amount, that's what it should equal. Take that property value, multiply it times 1 plus the property growth rate of 3%. You're going to want to hard code that, absolute that, and drag that on over. Voila. Turn those into accounting format. Beautiful. Next is your rent. Rents are easy enough to do. You take the 19,200 value, put that in the first cell. Second cell equals that 19,200 times 1 plus the rental growth rate, and that will be hard coded. So F4 key. This E, and it's being a little difficult, so I'm just gonna redo it. Multiply that, excuse me. Now this should do wonders. So a lot of times it's a simple fix, just gotta not get angry, keep your cool, and we'll go ahead, do our line style, make sure it's selected, and we'll draw some borders in. Having some fun, right? Beautiful. Next step, before tax cash flow. It's pretty simple to do. Go ahead, find your property taxes window or section, and that's just going to be equals the property value times the property tax percentage. And you're going to want to hard code that property tax percentage and go ahead and drag that over. The insurance will be that insurance rate and gonna go ahead, hit enter. Maintenance, it's going to be that maintenance value, so equals, and it's enter, and then equals that $1,000 times quantity 1 plus expense rate of growth. And make sure that that expense rate of growth is an absolute reference. Drag over. Beautiful. Go ahead, do the same for this. Times 1 plus expense growth. Hard code it. Enter. Beautiful. We're having fun now, for sure. Not a doubt. Now, principal and interest, that's the easy part. That's simply our payment every year. So I'm just going to go ahead, take that, drag that value over. And if you really want, you can go ahead and feel free to fix your border. Just going to do a right border. Easy enough. And you can even go ahead and readjust it so that's the accounting format. Seeing as you did the accounting format for the other one, heck, why not? Right? And then this is just going to be a sum of these values. And go ahead and drag that over. And then gotta fix your border again. Almost makes you wonder if you should do your borders at the end. Some people might say sure, definitely. I personally continue to do them the way I have been just because it makes it so much easier to just follow along and do things. Now you can choose to center your numbers if you want your year numbers. You know, some people might prefer that. Suppose personally I think I'm going to, because it helps separate them a little bit. And beautiful. How wondrous, magnificent. I'm just going to take a moment now to save all this work I've done. Truthfully, I typically save a lot sooner. It's just a good idea. Find a place that's relatively safe, that's going to be easy for you to find, and name it something you're going to remember. Buy or own, invest, and alright, excellent. Now, moving on to the next step, which is relatively easy, if I do say so myself. You have the property taxes, which you already calculated. Beautiful. Just drag that over. You have your interest, which you have also already calculated. And you might consider making that positive there, because what you're going to find is you're going to add these things up, and if you don't make them positive, then you're looking at a world of pain just because you got to add them up. So that one's going to have to be negative and this and that and adjust it. Just make them all positive, then add it all up to get your tax savings. Okay? Your total tax deductions, which you can kind of see here, a example, are going to be the added value of this plus this, the property taxes plus interest, expenses, total tax deductions. Excellent. And that is wonderful. Go ahead, fix these borders. And last but not least is your final step in this part. It's the tax savings value, which is going to be this value here times your marginal tax rate. And make sure you hard code that. Hit enter. And just drag that on over. Beautiful. Fill that last end border. Next step, simple enough. Equals cash outflows before taxes. You have that value there. Go ahead, drag that on over. It's going to reference these next cells. You can see that they match up. Do the same thing for your tax savings. Just finish completing that, getting those values. Wonderful. Go ahead, redo that border. After tax costs, your cash outflows minus your tax savings. Enter. Beautiful. And that's what she wrote. Alright, we've done quite a bit of the owning work. Now let's see the net cost of renting. If we go look at our top values here, we have our initial rent and we have our rental growth rate. So that E7 and E8 cell is the E8 and E8 and E7 cells are going to be our most important ones. So E7, F1, and then for the growth rate, it's going to be equal to E7, or actually, no, the prior cell times 1 plus E8, which should be hard-coded, our absolute reference, and accounting. Wonderful. Beautiful, isn't it? It's just marvelous. So we have our net cost of renting. Net cash flow from owning before sale. This is going to start with our cost of renting, which equals the cost of renting from before, and just drag that over. The cost of owning, drag that value over. Voila. Redo the border. New value afterwards. That's the after-tax cash flow own versus rent. It's going to equal cost of renting minus the cost of owning. And drag that over. Beautiful. That's giving us an idea of how much we're going to be having flowing in if we were to rent over if we were to own, as far as cost goes. And that takes into account different savings and this and that and the other thing. Now, moving on. Alright, before tax cash flow. Now, minus the sale. Okay. We have the sales price, which is going to be equal to the purchase price, which I'm going to hard code, times quantity 1 plus the property growth rate, which I will also hard code. And then I'll go ahead, drag that over, and it's going to be the same value. I'm just going to take this value, highlight it, and select this value here. Now drag it over,